Hello, and welcome to CIS-211 Principles of Computer Programming 2. My name is Professor Lusby, and I wanted to create a quick introduction video concerning this course. Um, my assumption is that you have taken CIS-210 previous to this, and if you took it online, you should see a lot of similarities between this course and the previous course. For sure, we are utilizing the same textbook. I think in CIS 210, we covered chapters 1 to 8. And then in this course, we pick up with chapter 9 and basically go until we hit the end of the textbook. And yeah, we're going to get into some more advanced concepts and topics concerning Java and object-oriented programming. So with that said, yeah, let me just kind of go through the classroom real quick and make sure that everyone knows where all the important things are. And then towards the end here, I do want to demonstrate how to utilize the GMC virtual desktop because we are going to be using that a lot. And all right, but I'm kind of putting the cart before the horse here. So at the top of the classroom, you're going to see a lot of good links here. And I just want to kind of go through them all real quick. Obviously, we have this first link here called How to Be Successful in the Course with a lot of good suggestions here. Okay. Make sure that you read that and you should get some good information out of that. Probably the most important here, we'll see in a second, there's a link for the Smart Thinking service that a lot of students find useful, and I'll show that to you here in a second. It is a free tutoring service available to you. And as well as the discussions, yeah, you do need 3 or more posts. You need to do an initial post and then 2 replies to your peers over the course of a week, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So that's just kind of summarizes, how to be successful in the course. Uh, this is probably su super important link that for sure I'm going to be posting on a weekly basis, sometimes even on a daily basis, especially in the beginning. So please, anytime you log into the classroom, always check out this news and announcements link. I think you also get an email anytime I post, but just in case you haven't received that email, please always um, check out this news and announcements module whenever you log in. All right. And of course, we have the course syllabus. This outlines what we're going to be doing and my office hours, my email. For sure, uh, always email me if you do want to set up an appointment. And even if it's outside of these hours, I can check my calendar and we can try to get something set up. And I'll send you a Zoom link and we can meet in a Zoom room. But for sure, if you need anything at all, please email me at this address here directly. The Moodle messaging system, this guy up here, it's pretty primitive, and I would rather you just email me directly instead of using the Moodle messaging system. This comes directly to my phone, and a lot of times the Moodle messaging is just uh, if we need to send files or I need to send any important information, it's really difficult to do that via Moodle. So please, please, please email me directly if you need anything at all. And the other thing that the syllabus is good for is if you go to the course schedule here, you'll get a better idea as far as what it is that we're going to be looking at this term. As I stated before, we're going to start at chapter 9, right? And every week basically has a discussion, a programming exercise, and a quiz. Okay. And usually every week we cover a new chapter. So we start with chapter 9, then we go to chapter 10. It looks like the quiz is missing here. I'm going to have to update that. But yeah, we always have a discussion, programming exercise, and quiz. So we'll cover chapters 9 concerning multi-dimensional arrays. I think chapter 8 last term, you went over single-dimensional arrays. So we're going to start to talk about multi-dimensional arrays now. Chapter 10 is a little bit of a deeper dive in object-oriented programming. We're going to start talking about inheritance, polymorphism, and interfaces. And by the way, feel free to read ahead in your textbook because some of these topics take a while to absorb, and the sooner you get to reading and getting comfortable with the material, the better. Chapter 11 is about exceptions and I/O operations, right? This is a very real-world, industry-relevant topic. Industry will expect that you can do these things as well. Chapter 12, we're going to look at GUIs, or graphical user interfaces, using JavaFX. The entire textbook revolves around JavaFX. And if you've taken my class before for CIS-211, I've pointed that out numerous times. It is one potential framework for creating GUI is JavaFX. There's a couple of others, but our particular textbook, we're going to be using JavaFX. Chapter 13, recursion. This is an advanced concept that we can use for very particular problems, and we're going to see a few examples of some problems that can be solved using recursion. And in chapter 14, we get into some data structures topics. Some schools break that out into its own course, but we do cover this lightly here in CIS-211, as well as week 7 is chapter 14 and 15 concerning runtime analysis, or big O analysis. So really chapters 14 and 15, we're getting into data structures and algorithms analysis. All right, and we hit it kind of the last 3 weeks of the term. And again, some schools break it out into its own course, but it looks like GMC wants us to kind of hit that pretty lightly here in the last 3 weeks. All right, as well as the due dates are all listed here. So yeah, make sure that you are comfortable and familiar with the course schedule here in the course syllabus, so that you kind of know what to expect. Just because when these weeks don't open up until we need to actually do them. So if you're kind of wanting to look ahead and see what's going on, that's why you want to use the course syllabus here. All right, and there's a lot of other good information inside of that course syllabus there. What else? Grading rubrics. Yeah, if you click on this, you'll see this page here. It basically just posts the rubric grading guidelines for the discussions. You're going to see that, yeah, the initial post is these 3 categories here, right? It needs to clearly address the main topic. You need to post on the required days. So for the initial post, I think is on Wednesdays by midnight for full credit. At least 150 words for full credit. And again, this is all the initial post. And then these criteria down here is concerning the 2 replies to your peers, right? You need to make sure you do at least 2 replies to your peers, and you need to make sure that you participate on 2 or more days. Please don't just log in on one day and do the initial post and 2 replies to your peers. You do need to be active at least on 2 or more days during the week. All right, so whichever 2 days, and I would encourage you to do more, but at a minimum it needs to be 2 days. And then at the bottom here, yeah, make sure that you're looking at your grammar, spelling, capitalization, right? If you do utilize references, make sure they are APA style references that include both the in-text citation as well as the reference at the end. Okay, and I would encourage you to do that, right? Any outside resources that you can bring in to help kind of further your point in these discussions, well, that's going to give your post more credibility than if there's not references at all. Are they required? No, as long as your post is thoughtful and contains factual material, factual information that you find that you've been able to gather from the textbook, and you're putting it in your own words, well, that's fine. You don't need any references. But if you are quoting material directly, either from the textbook or outside sources, yeah, I do need to see some APA references. Number 1, for credibility. Number 2, just to prevent plagiarism at all, right? As long as you're citing your sources, absolutely, there's no chance of plagiarism. So, all right, so that's kind of how the discussions are graded. There's a GMC student handbook here with lots of good information, including student code of conduct and some accessibility information that is listed here on this page, found here. There is a course chat room, I think, and it's not a discussion board, so I believe that, yeah, you can chat with your peers in real time. As far as when your peers are online or not, that I can't really answer to, but maybe, uh, try logging in there sometime to see if uh, maybe your peers are working on the same thing at the same time as you and are participating in this chat room. It's not a requirement. It's completely up to you if you want to utilize that service. What else? Oh, here. This is the Smart Thinking link. When you click on that, you should see a page that looks like this. And you need to register, but once you register, you log in and you'll basically see a real-time tutoring service that is available. I think you're allocated so much time per week. I don't know what that time limit is. So make sure that you have your questions ready and your code is ready so that you can make the most efficient use of this tutoring service. And at the end of the day, if you still have questions, that's why I'm here, right? So again, please reach out to me directly via email so that we can get a conversation started. All right, so you have this tutoring service as well as me. Uh, what else? Yeah, some student resources here. Um, and if you're not familiar with APA style, there is I think it's like a self-directed course here. Um, so some good information here as well. All right. Here, this is the important part. The virtual desktop. So GMC was gracious enough to create an online virtual desktop. Uh, and trust me that if you've never set up an integration development environment before, it can take a lot of time. It can be very frustrating. Um, so if you don't have a local Java IDE on your computer or you don't know what that is, for sure, you're going to want to use this virtual desktop here. And I'm going to demonstrate how to use that in just a second. But every computer every OS is a little bit different. So make sure that you read these links here concerning, well, if you have a Windows PC, this lets you know how to connect to the virtual desktop using a Windows PC. If you have a Chromebook, this lets you know how to connect to it with a Chromebook. If you have a MacBook, right? So the procedure is a little bit different connecting to the virtual PC depending on what operating system you have. But regardless, just make sure you look at the appropriate document concerning whatever operating system you have on your computer. And then once you go through this and you understand how to provide your username and password credentials, you're going to click on this and you're going to see something that looks like this. All right. And this is the virtual desktop. This is a full-fledged virtual Windows operating system that has everything installed that you need, all right, including the Java IDE, one of them called NetBeans 8.2, as well as the Java JDK. I think it's version 1.8 that has support for JavaFX. There are newer versions of NetBeans like this one, but this has not been configured for JavaFX or JDK 1.8, so please do not use this one. For the assignments in our course, CIS-210 and 211, we're going to be using this guy here, NetBeans 8.2. So just in case you didn't have me for CIS-210, I want to walk you through how to use this virtual desktop to do, let's say, a simple hello world Java application, just to, little gut check here, right? Make sure you can log into the desktop. Make sure that, let's launch NetBeans 8.2 so we can get familiar with how to use this Java IDE. And you should see something that looks like this. Your screen might look a little bit different. You might not have any projects listed here yet, but for sure you're going to see a start page. For sure you've got a nice projects window here off to the side. Notice that nothing is open yet, and that's great. All right. So the first thing, let's say we want to create this Hello World application, and I would definitely encourage all of you to do this just to make sure that number one, you have access to the virtual desktop, and number two, your NetBeans environment is working properly. All right. Let's come up here. Let's go File, New Project. Okay. We're going to do this every time. We're going to select Java application. All right. We're going to click on Next here and give it a nice descriptive name. I think we are in, what is it, 23 SVCMP right now at least. CIS-211, and let's call this Hello World. All right. Leave this project location as is. Please do not change it. This is a virtual folder that you have read and write privileges to within this virtual desktop environment. If you change this to, let's say, a different folder, maybe locally on your machine, the virtual machine is going to get very confused and you're going to get all sorts of weird errors. So please leave this as is. All right. Make sure this is unchecked and create main class. Yeah, let's go ahead and have it create the main class for us. But notice that it took a lot of this information here and created some additional what's called package information in front of the main class. I say get rid of all that and just stop here at the last dot and just keep whatever the main name is. CIS-211 Hello World. That's good. All the previous package information that's in front of it, to keep things simple, I say get rid of it. All right. So this looks good. Make sure your main class name looks good. Yes, and make sure that this is checked and this is unchecked. Go ahead and click on Finish, and you should see a project that looks like this, right? Created us a nice Java project, created us a default package inside of that project, and it even created the first file we need, which is this Java class here called CIS-211 Hello World. It's up to you if you want to keep the same default comments. I usually like to make my own, and just to really illustrate the bare bones of what this Java class needs to look like in order to run, this is it, right? The class name here needs to match with the Java file name, and they do. If you try to change it to something else, you're going to see it freak out, right? And what it's complaining about here, you see, anytime we see a red line or the little red exclamation point, that's letting you know that we have a syntax error, and Java will not compile or run this, all right? And if we hover over it, it lets us know, well, this is a terrible error. Oh yeah, here, should be declared in a file named hello world test.java. So it is a requirement by Java that the class name and the file name match exactly. All right, but it did all of that for us. I just wanted to print that out really quick. And again, if you've taken my CIS 210 course, I pointed that out there as well. So that should seem familiar to you. And then the other thing that's required, right, with a Java program is this main method. It created that for us. And we should be able to come in here and use that system library that we all know and love called system.out.println. And we can basically say, hello world. All right. This should, if you type it in correctly, this is an L, not a 1. We shouldn't see any red lines. We shouldn't see any red marks. And if we just right click inside of this file and say run file, we should see it run down here and give us the appropriate output. So this is a super simplistic way of making sure that your Java IDE works. All right, and that everything is set up appropriately. I would encourage you to do the same thing. Get comfortable with creating a new project like we just did, uh, and making sure that you can create a project with the main method, and just make it do something silly like, print something out to the screen, and then make sure you can run it, and you see the output in the window down below here. All right. For sure, I would even encourage you to do this in week 0. All right. Don't wait for week 1 when you're trying to access this virtual desktop, because we are going to hit the ground running. As soon as week 1 starts, hit chapter 9, talk about multi-dimensional arrays, and we're going to do much more complex programs than this. So at a minimum, if you can go ahead and do this during week 0, that would be uh, very helpful. All right. So that is NetBeans. That's how we create a project. And I'm going to talk more, as we get into each week, give some guidance concerning your particular programming assignment for this week and how we should set up the project in NetBeans for that week, where the code is that we're going to need to use for that week. Okay. But I'm just asking you to do this so that you can hit the ground running during week 1, and you're familiar with the NetBeans environment and the virtual desktop, right? Um, so at a high level from week 0, introduction video, that's basically everything that I wanted to show you. If you have any further questions or need anything at all, please email me directly here, and let's talk. All right. But I hope you find this video useful, and I look forward to seeing you in class.